Hello everyone, hopefully this is working. Trying to keep my voice down a little bit lower because I'm doing this a little bit later at night. It's 10:30 at night where I am in the UK, and I thought I'd take a little bit of time to do a little bit more ISO testing. I'm not going to spend like 2 hours doing it because obviously it's quite late, but you've seen it all before, so you know what to do. I'm going to go through a few things that I haven't shown you, and point out something interesting that you might not know. So hopefully you learn something. If you could let me know in the chat if the audio is okay. It looks all right here, but you never know. We shall see, and we'll get started. So today, as we record this, it's the Monday, the whatever it is. What is it? 14th. Monday the 14th, and Ubuntu 19.10 comes out on Thursday, the 17th. We've talked about that before. So 3 days left, and we did some testing yesterday on Sunday night. If you look back in the past few videos I've made, I've done a lot of testing of the ISO images, and a whole load of other people have contributed as well. But you know, we find bugs, and those bugs get fixed, and then a new ISO image is built, and so we need to go and test those images again. And so we re-download them, or do Z-Sync or whatever it's called to synchronize the images, and then do some further testing just to make sure no new regressions were introduced, so we didn't break the image by fixing something else, and whatever it was that was supposed to be fixed was actually fixed. So let's jump across to my desktop over here. So I've already rerun my magical script. It's not magical, it just like goes and gets all the ISO images, and puts them in a folder, and then I use DD Rescue to copy them onto a USB stick, which I have successfully done. So I've now got a USB stick, and the one I've done today is Ubuntu. So I've taken the Ubuntu daily ISO and stuck it on a USB stick. There's a couple of things that have been revolutionary to me today. One, I've currently got 1910 on my laptop, and if I show you my laptop, if I wake it up from slumber, there's a couple of things. One, I wasn't aware that actually fingerprint support had landed in Ubuntu, and you might not be able to see, but just below the password field there is a thing that says or swipe finger. I registered my finger in the settings under my user. There's a thing where you can register your fingerprint, and so now if I swipe my finger on the fingerprint reader, it should unlock the desktop. There, I didn't type a password in, I just swiped my finger. I didn't even know we had that. Apparently that's been available in 1904 as well, part of the GNOME desktop. So that's cool, but obviously that text that said or swipe finger was pretty unreadable. So I filed a bug about that against the Yahoo theme, because it looks like it's probably just a bit of CSS styling. They just need to change the color and make it brighter, and I would imagine not many people have seen that, because I imagine not many people have tested fingerprint readers, because not all fingerprint readers work. And so this is a precise example why testing in a VM is good, but testing on real hardware is sometimes preferable, because then you detect these kind of weird cases that probably nobody would have spotted otherwise. The interesting thing is I'm using a really bog standard laptop. This isn't even weird. This laptop is a ThinkPad X220 that I use for testing all the time. So I can thank you for pointing out the audio is a bit low. I'll turn it up a tiny bit. Hope that helps. So even though this is a super common laptop, I just happen to turn on a feature that not everyone will turn on, whether they don't know it's there, like me, or they don't want to have their fingerprint registered for whatever reason. So that's a good example of why you need to do testing on real hardware as well as the testing in VirtualBox. So that's one thing. Let's get started. I've got another thing I want to explain. I'm going to get started by... Oh, no, I'll tell you another bug that I found today. I may not have found it. I think they already knew about it. What I personally discovered, is in GNOME, when you open this thing, if you press escape, it shows you the view of all your applications. So if I open a couple of applications like this, so I've got 2 applications there. If I go to activities in the top left, it does the zoom out view where you can like pick which application you want to focus on. And if you go down to applications, I didn't realize this, but when you press escape, you get to that view as well. Now, the reason why that's important is when you click on that show applications, it gathers screenshots of every running application. And the more applications you have running, the more screenshots it gathers. So it gets progressively slower to click this button over time because it's grabbing screenshots. And I had like 20 applications open, and clicking that button took 4 seconds for the applications list, not for the screenshots to appear, just for this to appear. And so I filed a bug about that, and there was a little discussion, and it looks like this has already been discussed with the upstream GNOME developers. They know it's something that needs resolving. So, you know, I haven't given them any news they didn't already know, but it was interesting to me to discover a little bit about the internals of GNOME that I wouldn't have known if I hadn't tested. And that isn't something that was on any test case. The test cases don't say open as many applications as you possibly can. I installed like 20 applications from the store and opened them all just to see what would happen. And it's those kind of exploratory testing that you need to do to like push at the boundaries of the software and figure out where the edges are. And sure enough, we found an edge. So that was fun. Ahoy there, Adam and Frank's MCB. Thank you for joining us. So those were the 2 bugs I found today just by poking around, really, enabling fingerprint and launching loads of applications. That's all it took to find 2 bugs. I think that's pretty spectacular already. So I'm going to put this stick in, which is my Ubuntu daily for today, and I'm going to reboot into that. So there we go, Ubuntu. So we'll just restart, and the screen will go blank. While that goes blank, I've got the test cases open. I'll get this booted into Ubuntu while we look at the test cases. So over here, I've shown you this 1,000 times, the ISO test tracker. Actually, you know what's really difficult? I can't see to press the blue ThinkPad key if I can't. Yeah, that's no good. I need to actually have that on the screen because I've got it set to only use the external display. So let's power this on again. I'm only going to go through, I think, 1 test case on the video. I'll probably do more afterwards, but you don't need to see me go through the whole test case, every test case over and over again, because I've done them all. You understand how to do them. If you don't, just watch one of the previous videos that I've done this week. So let's boot off this USB stick. Right, and I'll leave that alone, and that should boot into Ubuntu. Right, let's leave that alone. And while that's booting, let's go and have a look at the test cases. So remember, we have milestones, and within the milestone, we have each of the products, and I happen to pick Ubuntu as the product that I want to test. And there's a bunch of tests here, and I'm just going to pick one of these. I'll probably start at the top and work my way down. In fact, the easiest one to do is the live session, because actually, no, it's not. Yes, it is actually. I could pick the live session if I choose try Ubuntu, and then I could pick one of the others. So you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. That's a horrible phrase, I know. There's got to be a better colloquialism for achieve 2 tasks with one, one thing. But anyway, I could do a couple of tasks here. But something I thought I'd mention that I haven't mentioned before, and it might be interesting to people. Sometimes people ask, how do you know what's being changed in Ubuntu? What's new? What software updates are there. Like before I get them, I want to know what are these new pieces of software, what bugs have been fixed, what new features have been addressed, what security updates are there. And there's something that it's kind of internal to the project. It's public, but it's something that a lot of people don't know about. So I thought I'd show it to you because it's kind of interesting. It's a bit retro, old school. If you go to lists.ubuntu.com, we have an archive of all the mailing list posts, and there are discussion mailing lists and there are announce mailing lists. I've shown you previously a couple of them. There's the announcement of the beta being released, and there's the release mailing list where they announce the release candidates. But interesting, people who don't know much about Ubuntu might not know about these mailing lists, and there's a lot of them. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of mailing lists. But these ones here are particularly interesting. Package uploads and automatic notification lists. Every time the archive opens for a new release of Ubuntu, a new mailing list is created, a brand new mailing list. If you look at these mailing lists here, they're all named with the code name of the new Ubuntu release and then the word changes. And if we go in Eon changes, which is going to be 1910, and look in the archive, this is publicly visible. You can subscribe to this so you get an email every time. I wouldn't recommend it for this list, but you could. By month, like since the beginning of the Eon archive opening, you can see every upload, a mail for every upload that was done to the Eon archive. So early on, this one was updated, and then a bit later some more packages were updated, and then a bit later on some more packages, and so on and so on. And so over time you see how the Eon archive was built up from all of these package updates, right? And you can see who uploaded them as well. These are the people who sponsored those uploads. And so early on in the archive, there's like tool chain stuff like compilers and base files that are required by other parts of the stack. And then as time goes on, more interesting things like Rick, who's been dropping by the chat quite a lot, has uploaded a whole load of KDE packages. So, you know, you can see a whole slew of stuff got uploaded to Eon probably over the course of just one day. So that's relatively interesting, you know, to see, oh, that's how the archive is built up, like, and you can watch how the sausage is made, if you like. But if you skip forward to now, we can drill down on one of them. Like, it's in date order, and the most recent ones are at the bottom, like any traditional mailing list. Holy cow, this is a big list. And if we scroll right down the bottom, I've already looked at a few of these, so that's why they're purple. I thought it might be interesting just to follow the path through one of these. So, like if we pick any like random one, like this one, what you'll see in here is the most recent entry from the Debian changelog file. So this helps you to see, well, what changed between the previous version and this version of whatever package this is. So this is a package called Casper, or a component called Casper, and this is part of the tools that build the image that you get on the ISO. Casper is a friendly ghost. I think it's a play on the, you know, ghost is a way of taking an image of a system, and Casper is the friendly ghost. So I think that's why it's called Casper. I mean, someone in the chat may correct me. But it tells you the changelog, but also tells you the Launchpad bug that this fixes. So you could go and find that. There's this shortener for Launchpad called pad.lv. You just go to pad.lv and then put in the bug number. You can learn more about, you know, what was fixed. So you may not want to do this. Obviously, this is going like right into the depths of, you know, how stuff is built. But it's interesting, and I just wanted to show you how open it is that you can go and have a look at the bug report and, you know, the description and, you know, how it was fixed and who fixed it and all that kind of stuff. So there's a whole trace of exactly what changed in every release of Ubuntu. You can even, like, let's go and have a look at this one, for example, base files. This is quite an interesting one. So Adam Conrad, who's on the release team, has updated base files, and that contains these files, and they contain some interesting version numbers. And he says, preparing for 1910 release. And if you drill down to Launchpad, you can see more detail, which architectures it was built for. You can download the actual files themselves that make up what's in that package. But the other thing that's cool is if you go to code, you can see the code repository on Launchpad that is used to build this package that eventually ends up on the ISO image. So you're going like all the way back into the factory and seeing how this stuff was made. And if we browse the code, you can see this was updated 7 hours ago, according to this. And you can see, sure enough, Adam made some changes to various things. And if we look at the commits, the most recent commit, sure enough, was from Adam making this change. And you can scroll down and see there's the entry in the changelog. But then down here, you can see the actual files he changed. I find this super fascinating. Just have a poke around and see what people have been doing. So in preparation for release, the release name of Ubuntu changes from the code name to the version number. So all the while of the 6-month period that we're developing Ubuntu, internally we all call it by the code name, and it doesn't become 1910. Eon doesn't turn into 1910 until around about now, a few days before release, before the final ISOs are made. And so I just wanted to show you how, a little change made by one person, you can get all the way from that mailing list all the way to the code pretty easily. And I just find that fascinating. Personally, I'm weird like that. My Ubuntu has booted. So I think I can do Super P. Oh no, I can't do Super P, can I? Oh no. I have to do function F7. Does that work? Or did that not work? Or can I just drag it? Yeah, I'll just drag it over. That's what we did last time, I remember, because you can't do the multi desktop. So let's just do one set of tests, shall we? So which set of tests am I going to do? Let's just do a quick, easy test. Install and wipe the entire disk. Let's do that one. So boot up the image, and I'm just going to go through this. And once we're done, I'll end the stream. So let's just go through and install Ubuntu. If you get any questions, just shout in the chat. Yeah, it's an unfortunate turn of phrase, isn't it? Watch how the sausage is made. I actually can't read this, so I need to make this bigger. So what language are we using? We're using UK. Okay. So this is using the, I've mentioned this before, this is using the Calamares installer. Oh, this is massively confusing me, having two mice on the screen. Let's get rid of, move him down there somewhere. I'm not going to connect to the network. I'm just going to let it install properly. I'm going to do a normal installation. Notice the downloaded updates is grayed out. Yep. And I'm not going to install third-party stuff. And the little tick at the top shows that I've got my battery, my power connected. So that also is showing correctly. And on this one, we're doing use the entire disk. So I'm going to change this from resize to use entire disk. So previously I had Eon on there, and now I'm going to have Ubuntu on there. Install. I made this window smaller. It wouldn't be so far for me to traverse with the mouse, would it? Continue. Bonk. Now, because I'm offline again, it's always choosing New York, the default. But if I do that, it's I'm not in the Faroe Islands. I am in London. No, not in the Isle of Man. Oh my gosh. Let's just do this. Let us choose it. Let me find London in this list. Wow, this is Europe. Why can I not see London? Am I? Oh, it'll be UK, will it? United Kingdom time. Called that though, really, is it? Bop. Let's make this window slightly smaller so I don't have to travel so far with the mouse. Right, put my usual stuff in. Choose a password. And again. And we'll call it Deep Thought, as always. And I'm not going to log in automatically. That's all good. That's it. Easy peasy. So hopefully what that's going to do is format the disk, install Ubuntu, and then all I need to do is hit restart when it finishes, reboot back into Ubuntu. Where's my instructions? Here they are. I've got all the way down to here. And I should be looking at the slideshow, which I certainly am. There's the slideshow going through. Wait for the install to finish and installation complete. Remove the disk, reboot into Ubuntu. Right. Super easy, not hard to do. Strongly recommend if anyone wants to get involved in Ubuntu. Now is the perfect time to do it. There's a whole bunch of ISOs that need testing. Use them on a VM. I know some people prefer to use VirtualBox. Other people use KVM or boxes or VMware. Doesn't really matter. When you finish doing your test, you just scroll down here and you can submit a past result and maybe put a comment in there. If you're using VirtualBox, put something in there if you're using VMware similarly. So yeah, I'm going to do that and then crack on with some other tests. That's it for tonight. I only wanted to do a short stream just to show you a couple of behind the scenes things and get cracking with some more testing. I'll be a lot faster if I'm not streaming these tests. So if I get offline, then I can crack through some of these tests this evening. All right. Hope that was useful and interesting. And don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Maybe there's going to be another ISO that I need to test. Maybe not. We shall see. Thanks for watching. And if you like these and you have any suggestions on how I can improve them or other things that I might want to talk about or you might like me to talk about, then hit the subscribe and you can follow on the next one when I do one and leave comments underneath to give me suggestions. That'd be really helpful. Alternatively, you can find me online. I'm Popey on Twitter, PopeyDC on Telegram. You can find me all over the place. I'm pretty easy to find online. But yes, it's getting late now, so I'm going to go offline and carry on with these tests. Thanks, everyone. Cheese Bacon's asking a question. He says, would you recommend the X220 as a decent bare metal testing machine? It's done me proud, I'll say. This thing, mine has got 16 gig of RAM in it, which is more than most computers these days have. As far as I understand, most computers these days ship with 8 gigs. If you think of like Ultrabooks or thin and light laptops, many of them only have 4, but a lot of them have 8. Developer workstations are tending towards 8, 16. But if they've got soldered on RAM, they may only have 8 gigs. So this is kind of indicative. It's got an SSD in it. Mine has, so it's decently fast. But yeah, and anything of this kind of era from like the X220 onwards, because this is 64-bit. It takes SSDs. You can put 16 gig of RAM in it. It's got USB 3. It's got a fingerprint reader. It's got a webcam. It's got onboard audio. It's got all the the things that you kind of want to test in a base expectations of a laptop, really. So yeah, X220, 230, you can pick them up really, really cheap. But not just for Ubuntu as well. You can use it as a distro hopper machine and try out all kinds of distros on. It's totally a cracking machine. And the other thing is they're really easy to maintain. I'm going to stop whittering on about ThinkPads now because everyone gets sick of me talking about ThinkPads, but they're easy to maintain. You can get second user batteries for them. The only weird quirk about them is they have DisplayPort, not HDMI, so you need a DisplayPort adapter if you're going to plug in an external display. But they do also have VGA, which is quite interesting. And they've got the round barrel power connector, the X220. So it's really, really common, really easy to get, and shares with many other ThinkPads before they changed to the rectangular power connector. Awesome. Cubicle 8 says, I like the way he lights up when he talks about ThinkPads. Dude, you know what I'm like with ThinkPads. Far too many of them. One day I'll do a video that's just like ThinkPad in a row, and show off my stupid collection of ThinkPads. That would be great. Or tedious. Oh look, my installation's finished. I've just got time to hit the restart now, and then I'll pull the USB key out, and if it all boots back into Ubuntu successfully, we'll call that a good test, I think. I'm that optimistic. I'm already going to tick the radio button that says passed. I'm ready to click the submit result, because I think this is going to be successful. The man loves his ThinkPads. I do. I even have them on the floor around me. Like, I know. It's... Yes. I'm planning to give a talk at the weekend. I'm going to a conference called OG Camp. And I'm planning to give a talk. And I'm going to give it all from the command line. No GUI at all on one of my older ThinkPads. This bad boy. It doesn't actually matter which one I hold up in front of you, because they all look the same. They're all just black with, a ThinkPad logo in the corner and, a battery sticking out the top. But yeah, this is my X61S, which I love a lot. Oh gosh, this is taking a while to restart. Why is this taking so long? Did I pull the USB stick out too early? There's no disk activity at all. Yes. Oh, there we go. Squash FS error. Yes, you would have squash FS errors because I just pulled the USB key out a bit early. I think that's my fault. I should have waited for that error, that message about ejecting the USB stick before I actually just pulled it out. Right, so let's see if this is successful. Okay, I see the glowing Ubuntu logo. I do love it. So sweet. And hopefully I'll get a log on screen. Well, there's a mouse cursor, so that's always a good start. There we go. Yeah. Winning. There we go. So we've got Ubuntu with the best desktop there is. Plasma. And I've got a switch screen thing. There we go. Everything's okay. I can connect to the Wi-Fi and use this. So I'll call that a perfectly good test. Let's just tick the box and say, I'm just going to put comment X220 because everyone knows the specs of my X220 now. So I just put passed, submit result, boom. And now if I look at all test cases, that one's got a 1 next to it. And I'll crack on with the rest of them. All right, as I said, thanks everyone. See you all again sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.